My husband came home drunk again last night. I really couldn't hold back. I took my lipstick and left several marks on his neck. The next day, I confronted him directly. Who kissed you? Where were you last night? He looked confused and apologized to me. He also said a lot of things to admit his mistakes. I thought to myself, now you should be honest, right? But after dinner, I accidentally heard him on the phone with someone else. I had just finished washing the dishes. I heard him say, "Dear, don't kiss my face anymore. My wife is starting to get suspicious." He instinctively tightened his clothes. There were 2 obvious creases left on his shirt. In the 3 years of our marriage, Lucas has never come home late. Even when he is busy socializing, he would call me in advance. Recently, he always comes home smelling of alcohol. I was just joking with him, pretending to leave a lipstick mark on his neck. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. On the balcony, Lucas is wearing a bathrobe. He's still on the phone. Don't rush. I'll come to keep you company in a few days. The night breeze gently blows. His words sound a bit ambiguous, with a hint of flirtation. I remember the second day after I moved in with him. That's how Lucas talked to me. After we got married, that matter became very ordinary. It never happened again after that. I stood in the corner. I was completely frozen. I can't deceive myself. I didn't mishear, and there was no misunderstanding. Lucas did cheat. I turned on the light. Lucas was startled when he saw me on the balcony. He quickly turned off his phone. He asked me, "Emily, what are you doing here?" I found it a bit funny to hear, but I couldn't laugh. This is our home. I'm not here. Where else can I go? What are you doing? He came back to his senses. He said it casually. "Oh, I was just on the phone with a friend." "Which friend? Why didn't you continue the conversation?" Lucas glanced at his phone, then casually placed it face down on the table behind him. He was facing me, his brow furrowed slightly. "Why do you always ask so many questions?" I already explained that lipstick mark from yesterday. It was just a joke from a friend. Someone kissed me while I was drunk. If you don't believe me, just call David and ask him. David is my college classmate. He was also our partner in the startup. We met first. Later, I introduced him to Lucas. Lucas used to say that. I would feel like I was being too annoying, interrupting him over trivial matters. Lucas has always been very honest with me during social gatherings. He not only had David accompany him, but also answered my video calls at any time. This made me feel very at ease. But today, this sense of security completely vanished. I calmly said, "No need, I trust you." Then I lay down in bed, ready to sleep. Lucas might have realized that his earlier attitude wasn't good. He came over to comfort me again. He said, "Emily, it's not that I'm impatient to explain to you. It's just that I've had too many social engagements recently. I'm a bit tired. In any case, just trust me." I nodded. He turned around and softly said, "Go to sleep." He habitually held me close. Lucas has always been good at saying sweet things, so I was very happy to be coaxed by him. I used to be particularly ticklish. I couldn't stand it when someone touched my waist, but he said he just likes to hold me while sleeping. He said that with me by his side, he sleeps especially soundly. Even the quality of his sleep has improved. I feel sorry for him being so busy every day, so he worked hard to overcome his issues. Tonight, I turned my back to Lucas. With my eyes open, I listened as his breathing gradually became shallow. I lifted the blanket. I moved his hand away. He didn't notice at all. The next morning, I got up early as usual. A strange number called in. On the other end of the line said, "Hello, is this Mr. Lucas? We would like to confirm your reservation for the Denver couples tour." When I received the call from the travel agency, I was a bit confused at first. Since last year, I've been telling Lucas that I wanted to travel abroad. I didn't expect he secretly arranged it for me, but he might have forgotten. Last time at the travel agency, he left my contact information. If it weren't for what happened yesterday, if I had known earlier, I would definitely be very happy. But now, my heart feels heavy. It feels particularly awkward. I barely slept last night. It feels like my heart is being pricked by needles. My mind is filled with thoughts about Lucas being with someone else. It's a complete mess. When I walked into the supermarket to pick fruits and vegetables, I looked particularly tired. There happened to be a few young girls standing next to me. It made me look even more drained. They were chatting and laughing in public. I definitely won't get married. Even if I do get married, I won't be a housewife at home. After a few years, she looks quite a bit older. You don't plan to get married. Just dating. Right. That's right. Just like Sophia, your boyfriend is so considerate towards you, and you even specially took me to play in Denver. No wonder we came out to have fun. You even made us accompany you on a detour early in the morning to buy your boyfriend a heartfelt breakfast." The protagonist smiled. "Say it, no, not at all. Mainly because this store has a wide variety of fruits, and they're very fresh." Hearing the word Denver, I instinctively turned around. In that moment, I was stunned. Standing there was that girl named Sophia. She was wearing a diamond stud earring identical to mine. She also looked very much like me, but she looks more like a 20-something version of me, full of youthful energy. I looked down at myself because I rushed out. My hair wasn't even styled, and I was still wearing my pajamas. At that moment, I finally understood. The travel agency's arrangements weren't meant for me. It might be a woman's intuition. She also looked up and saw me. When we locked eyes, her friend beside her grabbed her wrist and whispered something in her ear. "Sophia, I think the person in front of us looks a lot like you, just a bit older than you." Sophia looked at me and slowly smiled. She said playfully, "How could I look like her? I don't have eye bags as deep as that lady's." "Are you kidding me?" The friend quickly corrected herself. "No, not at all. You're much prettier than her. How old are you? Why are you calling me auntie?" This obvious hostility made me smirk inside. Lucas actually found a girl who looks somewhat like me. Should I say his taste hasn't changed? Or is it that I haven't left yet? He just found a stand-in to replace me. What a pity. A stand-in is still just a stand-in. I said in a voice that was neither too loud nor too soft. There's definitely a difference between natural and altered. Some people's noses are clearly altered by surgery. When I reach his age, I might need to have it adjusted again. Sophia's expression suddenly changed. I paid the bill and walked out of the supermarket calmly. When I got home, Lucas was already up. He adjusted his tie while speaking. "By the way, I might have to go on a business trip in the middle of the month. About a week, I guess." I paused my breakfast and looked up at him. At this time, it coincides perfectly with what the travel agency said, but he told me he was going on a business trip. I looked at him and said nothing. He felt like something was missing inside. There was an indescribable chill, but he didn't pay much attention to it. He glanced at his phone. His brow relaxed slightly. Today is tight on time. He skipped breakfast this morning. I observed his expression. I looked down at the dishes I had already prepared. I suddenly feel quite ridiculous. Just now, I managed to win a verbal battle against the mistress. But what does it even mean? Lucas's behavior makes me feel that I'm no longer that important to him. When the travel agency called this morning, I was still a bit hesitant. Looking back now, it seems I was just overthinking. The trip abroad I've been looking forward to since last year. He booked to go with someone else. He didn't have time for breakfast at home this morning. He still had to go out to eat what others delivered. Before leaving, he came over to hug me again. "Honey, your stomach isn't well. Remember to heat the milk before drinking." My hands hung by my sides. I felt as stiff as a piece of wood. She responded softly. When it was just me left, I stood in the kitchen, looking at my neatly organized and clean home. My previous life was filled with warmth and a sense of satisfaction. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a housewife, because in the past, when Lucas came home, he often took the initiative to help me wash vegetables and wipe the table. He praised me for the delicious meals I cooked. That's because of love. So I was willing to give for him. But if one person's love is significantly more than the other's, this giving can easily turn into pleasing. My love has never changed. It's just that his love has diminished. This past year, every time I ask him, he says it's due to too much work at the company. He has to socialize. He always says that I've worked hard. But when was the last time he actually helped me heat a cup of milk? It's been a long time. I once believed his sweet words. I truly thought I was very happy. Sometimes when I made him unhappy, I would feel a bit guilty. Now, I've come to realize that our relationship has long become me always trying to please him. I used to really dislike the term pleasing. I grew up in an orphanage. Before being adopted, I often saw the children inside trying to please the adults on purpose. At that time, I thought, I don't want to become like that. Let those who like me like me. I won't care about those who don't like me. Later, my adoptive parents told me the same thing. When he first saw me, he felt I was a very unique child. But we have been married for 3 years now. I feel I have changed a lot. I withdrew from the company we started together. Lucas said he needed equity. I transferred it to him without hesitation. I feel at ease, became a housewife. I thought as long as I managed everything at home wholeheartedly, Lucas would belong to me forever. I was immersed in a love that made me happy, but I was still blinded when I finally saw the truth. I realized that what I had grasped was just a bunch of bubbles. The people who truly cared about me. I didn't cherish them properly. I haven't been in touch with them for a long time. I opened the message list. I saw the chat records marked as Mom and Dad were still from the new year. Lucas contacted me wanting my shares, but they all disapproved. At that time, he kept saying he was in a hurry. The pressure was intense. He also said we are family. If he's good, then I can be good too. I had a dispute with my adoptive parents. I insisted on signing the equity transfer agreement. I didn't listen to their advice. Looking back now, I really did something foolish. In the evening, I sat alone in the living room. Lucas sent a message to tell me he had to go to the neighboring city to sign an urgent contract. He won't be back tonight. I stared at the message box for 2 seconds. My intuition told me he was lying. At that moment, I suddenly remembered that I had a house by the sea. At that time, Lucas collaborated with a real estate company. He bought that house at a favorable price. It was registered in my name. Later, we bought this villa. According to the principle of one person, one unit, registered in turns. This time, I wrote his name. After marriage, he was responsible for the company's operations. I haven't managed any real estate purchased later on. He never brought these matters up with me. I found the key. Based on my intuition just now, I drove straight to the seaside. When I got there, I found it to be completely dark. There were no lights. I didn't know whether to feel disappointed or relieved for a moment, thinking that I hadn't been here for a long time. I might as well go in and take a look. But when I pushed the door open, I was stunned. I stood at the door for a long time without moving. Is this still my house? There were several pairs of beautiful high heels on the shoe rack by the door. These are the pointed styles that I rarely wore after getting married. The plain carpet and curtains I chose before were replaced with pink, which I don't like. After going upstairs, I found that the seaside room, originally meant for my relaxation, was filled with cosmetics and women's items. That balcony where you can feel the sea breeze as soon as you open the door. Now it's filled with delivery boxes. I stood there. My feet felt like they had taken root. I couldn't move. Everything in front of me was blurry. I blinked hard. Upon focusing my eyes, the photo wall was densely packed with pictures of Lucas and Sophia. The girl was smiling particularly happily. Lucas looked a bit reluctant, but he seemed to enjoy the sweet atmosphere of being a couple. The happiness in the photos was about to overflow, but when I saw this, my heart suddenly felt cold. It felt like I was drenched in cold water, although the house is in my name. It feels like it has nothing to do with me anymore. When I wasn't paying attention, all traces of me were completely erased. Clearly, I'm the homeowner, yet I feel out of place like an outsider. The sky gradually darkened. I wasn't sure how I got out of that house. It seems like heaven is playing a joke on me. I haven't walked far. Lucas and that girl just came back. I'm holding my phone with the photos and videos already taken at the corner. I can't see them from here. I heard the sounds of them being affectionate. The door was pushed open. Sophia said to Lucas, "I saw your wife today." Lucas stopped what he was doing. He asked seriously, "What did you talk about with her?" Sophia felt wronged. What did I say? It was clearly your wife who cut in line, and then she scolded me instead. You said she might be upset because we look alike. She just doesn't like me. What do you think? Is she prettier or am I prettier? Lucas sighed in relief. He softly comforted her. You are the prettiest. You look much better than her. They tiptoed into the house. I leaned against the wall. At first, I just cried silently. Later, I cried so much that I couldn't catch my breath. When I had to face all of this, my heart still couldn't find peace. After I cried enough, I returned to the car. From a distance, through the reflection in the floor-to-ceiling window, I could still see them tightly embracing. I took out my phone. I dialed David's number. I asked him. Lucas said he was going to the next city. Are you two together? The other side immediately replied, yes, we are. The contract was just signed. He's taking a shower. Should I have him video call you after he finishes? No need. I was just asking casually. I hung up the phone expressionlessly. I sat quietly in the car for 3 minutes. Then I dialed another number. Hello, Mr. Smith. Hello, I'm planning to get a divorce. Let's find a time to meet and talk. It's too late now. If we meet, it will have to wait until tomorrow. I returned home. I saw a message from David's wife. She invited me to go shopping. They said Lucas and David are working hard outside. As for us at home, we should be more understanding of them. Whenever I have free time, I accompany her to go shopping. To relax a bit. It's definitely better than just staying at home feeling bored. In the past, when I saw such words, I would feel warm. Now, however, it feels a bit frightening. I started to reflect. How many times have similar situations occurred? Our two families are very close. I have always trusted the two of them. David and I were college classmates. This relationship brought us closer. He was a young man who came out from the mountains. The most commendable thing about him is that he is down-to-earth and reliable. When David's wife was in confinement, the company wasn't as wealthy as it is now. David couldn't afford a postpartum caregiver. Neither set of parents came to help. It was I who took the initiative to care for her for a month. The child has already recognized me as their godmother, but recently I've asked a few more questions. David even had his wife send me a message to comfort me. Does his wife know something as well? I can't say for sure. How can that not make one feel heartbroken? However, I can only blame myself for being too naive. That's why they dare to come and brush me off one by one. I took a nice bath. I read a book to calm myself down. In the past, I might have been brushed off by them, but regarding the divorce, I won't be so hasty anymore. I won't easily trust others either. I need to calculate how much I originally gave away. I have to find a way to get it all back. The next day, Lucas still hasn't come back. He sent me a photo of a plane ticket to Denver. He said he had something to take care of. I didn't reply to his message. I also don't care whether Sophia went with him. While he's away these days, I can focus on preparing for the divorce. The day Lucas came back, he video called me before getting on the plane. I hung up the phone. Then I said, "If there's something, just say it directly. It's not convenient for a video call right now." He switched to sending voice messages. He excitedly said to me, "This time I landed a big client. Once this collaboration is finalized, our company will definitely reach new heights." He slowed down his speech. He gently said to me, "Wife, I've been too busy lately. I haven't had the time for you. When I get back, I will definitely spend quality time with you. Is that okay?" I replied. "When you come back, I will prepare a table of delicious dishes for you. Since this is the last meal before the divorce, we might as well eat well, right?" After the call, after confirming the time, I looked at the nearly empty kitchen. I directly ordered a meal from a chef. The taste was good. The price was high too. Before we got married, Lucas often took me out to eat. After we got married, we've only been once, and that was on our anniversary. Thinking back now, it's really funny. I can't believe I didn't notice these details before. That day, I even opened a bottle of red wine. I put on makeup. I changed into nice clothes. After dressing up, I felt like I saw my former self again. In these past few years, I let myself go a bit, but it's okay. It's not too late to change now. I can still make a comeback. On the table lay a divorce agreement. I gently traced the large characters. The matter has finally come to an end. I can finally live my life in peace. When I heard Lucas making noise at the door, I was already starving. I went ahead and ate first, but there were still quite a few dishes left on the table. They still looked very plentiful. Why are there still so many dishes? "Wife, you've worked hard, huh? What's going on to welcome me?" "Wife, you look really beautiful tonight." He seems particularly happy. He's beaming with joy. Anyone can tell he's in a good mood. He's especially charming when he speaks. It seems he really went to meet a big client, but when his gaze landed on the divorce agreement on the table, his expression changed immediately. "Who put this here in our house?" I was taken aback. I crossed my arms. I don't want to look at him, and I don't want to pretend anymore. "This is for you to sign. Let's eat first. We can sign after we eat." Lucas was stunned. He looked at me in shock. "Wife, what's wrong with you? Have I done something wrong lately? Tell me. I will definitely apologize properly. Don't just casually talk about divorce." I smiled. He seemed quite confident. He probably thinks I don't know about Sophia. He still wants to pretend nothing happened in front of me. I directly exposed him. "Where did you find this girl? She does resemble me a bit, but her personality is like Lucas. You really accept anyone, don't you?" His eyes twitched slightly. This statement shocked him more than the divorce agreement. After a while, Lucas's emotions slowly calmed down. He sat down. He asked, "You already know. I'm still saying the same thing. Let's get a divorce. I won't ask for more. Just what I deserve and compensation for your infidelity during our marriage." Lucas stared at me for a while. He tugged at his tie. He seemed a bit impatient. "I won't divorce. I will break up with her. Emily, I promise I won't make such mistakes again in the future." I interrupted him. "Ask away. What makes you think I would still trust you? Doesn't Lucas know my personality by now? As for me, I can never tolerate even the slightest flaw. When I first got together with Lucas, we rescued a nearly dying kitten. At first, I really liked it, but its wild nature was hard to change. Once it got better, it always wanted to sneak out to play with the stray cats in the park. If I kept it at home, it would cause endless trouble. If I locked it in a cage, it would get depressed. I spent time playing with it. I wanted to build a bond with it, to make it closer to me. It still didn't recognize me as its owner. It would hiss at me. It still wanted to run outside. Even the vet said it wasn't suitable to keep it at home. In the end, we had to follow the doctor's advice. We had it neutered. Then we let it go to be a stray cat. I often bring food for it and its companions. A month later, it actually managed to run back by itself. Look at the wounds on its body. It probably got into a fight with another animal. After it returned, finally, I could stay quietly at home. However, I still decided to find it a new owner. Lucas asked me why I wouldn't keep it. I said, as soon as I saw it, I would think of the way it once looked at me. That look was filled with hatred and defiance. This shows that there is no fate between it and me. Marriage is the same. From the moment I discovered Lucas was cheating, I understood. The fate between him and me had come to an end. But clearly, he was the one who found someone else first. I asked for a divorce and told him to leave. Instead, he was unwilling. Lucas said firmly, I will not agree to a divorce. I really can't understand. However, let's leave it at that. It's just that things will be a bit complicated. We have to resolve this in court. I've already told him. Don't come back to this home from today onwards. To avoid feeling upset when seeing you. Lucas was silent for a while. He actually agreed. He said, Emily, you are still angry right now. I'll do whatever you say. Wait until you're no longer angry. I'll do anything. There's no way I can calm down. I'm definitely getting a divorce. He wants to buy time. I'll handle it according to the prescribed steps. But in my heart, I feel like I have no relationship with him anymore. From now on, I'll only focus on my own matters. I opened the contact list. I saw those 2 names. I was a bit indecisive, but in the end, I still made up my mind. Mom, is Dad next to you? It's nothing. Lucas and I are getting a divorce when I return to my parents' house. They treated me the same as before, still so warm and kind. Emily is back home. My adoptive parents are both professors at a university. They usually support my decisions. They are quite open-minded, except for that time regarding the shares. They didn't agree. Thinking about it, I felt a bit embarrassed. They were eager to cook. No matter how I tried to persuade them, they wouldn't stop. I was busy in the kitchen. I heard someone coming. My dad even said no, something like take it back. I peeked my head out of the kitchen. I wanted to see who had arrived. As a result, I saw a surprised face. Sophia was holding a bottle of Mautai. She was arguing with my dad. Seeing me, she couldn't help but shout, It's you. How did you get here? I was instantly captivated by this scene. I'm holding a spatula. I couldn't help but ask with a smile. Shouldn't it be me asking you? Mr. Johnson never accepts gifts. You insist on shoving it to him. What exactly do you want to do? Sophia was extremely angry. She pointed at me and said to her father, Mr. Johnson, is she your family's nanny? I know her. Her behavior is inappropriate. She even tries to stir up trouble between me and my boyfriend. Please consider this carefully when hiring her. I looked at Sophia. It felt like watching monkeys in a zoo. I blinked. I asked her, your boyfriend, isn't he named Lucas? Upon hearing my words, my dad's expression immediately turned grim. About the reason for my divorce from Lucas. I had just told them everything without reservation. My mom also looked like she was about to explode, but she held back out of courtesy. She still didn't say anything. Finally, I spoke up. Miss Sophia, the boyfriend you mentioned, actually, he is my ex-husband. This is my home. Wanting to falsely accuse me, impossible. No one here doesn't know the truth. After hearing that this is my home, Sophia's face immediately turned pale. She suddenly realized that she was speaking ill of his daughter in front of a father. Mr. Johnson, Sophia, you should leave. I have clearly stated that I will not accept anything. Exams only test real abilities. No strength, relying solely on tricks is useless. My dad snorted coldly. Sophia's face suddenly turned red. He hurriedly ran away, but before leaving, he shot me a fierce glare. I glared back at him. There's nothing to be afraid of. I stayed at home for a few days. Later, I returned to my big villa. The 2 elderly people have a light diet, and they still won't let me order takeout. As long as I'm cooking, he always has to consider my taste. In the villa, I want to cook when I want to cook. Sometimes when I'm too lazy to cook, I just order takeout. No one is watching me. Looking at this place, the home I've lived in with Lucas for several years, clearly nothing has changed. Yet it feels completely renewed. Actually, it's not the villa itself that has a problem. The problem lies with the people in the marriage. It's precisely because the people are not good. That one feels constrained. I'm just sitting around with nothing to do, thinking about what to do in the future. At this moment, Lucas came to find me. He even made a particularly unreasonable request. As your wife, I will accompany you to the dinner party. Mr. Lucas, you need to understand. We are already in the process of getting a divorce. Lucas had the words on the tip of his tongue but swallowed them back. In the end, he still held on to me. He said earnestly, Emily, after all, we are husband and wife. Can you help me? It's the important client I mentioned to you before. He has a very good relationship with his wife. If I can make him feel that my family is happy, then when he chooses a partner, he may lean more towards our company. I really can't force a smile. He was just caught cheating by his ex-wife. Now he talks about family happiness in front of her. How thick-skinned must one be to do that? As long as you agree to the divorce terms, I will help you this once. I looked coldly at Lucas and said, Emily, are you really going to do this? He looked very sad, as if I had done something to hurt him. I frowned and added, sign it now, it won't wait. On the divorce agreement, another signature and fingerprint were quickly added. I cast him a cold glance in the face of interests. Ultimately, Lucas agreed. In that case, stop thinking that emotions can solve everything. At the banquet, Lucas helped me choose a dress. These days, he often finds various opportunities to show me kindness. I always respond coldly. What's the use of warming up after the heart has gone cold? What good is it then? A big client is coming from Denver. His wife is a local. This time it's for his 50th birthday. He decided to celebrate back in his hometown. However, for a businessman, any opportunity can be used to expand one's social circle. Most of the attendees are businessmen. Interestingly, many people come as couples, like me and Lucas. I've heard this Denver tycoon is particularly obedient to his wife. He even chooses business partners with good family relationships. He only chooses business partners who have good family relationships. He always says, someone who can manage their family well. Business won't go too badly. Lucas is facing a lot of competitors this time. He asked me to link arms with him. We went together to greet the wealthy merchants. The wealthy merchant seems to have a high regard for Lucas. I've heard about it a long time ago. Mr. Johnson is also a very loving husband. Lucas glanced at me. I just smiled silently. I didn't say anything more. He smiled. He said, oh, come on, still not as good as you. Lucas. Suddenly, someone shouted. I have been quietly playing the role of a bystander. I heard Sophia's voice. I raised my eyebrows. This is going to be interesting. Sure enough, as soon as Lucas saw Sophia, his expression darkened. If it weren't for the wealthy merchant being present, he might have already kicked Sophia out. Lucas, why didn't you tell me you were coming here? I found out from your friend. Sophia immediately clung tightly to Lucas's arm as she entered. Lucas kept giving her hints with his eyes. But it was no use. The wealthy businessman has a keen eye. From the moment Sophia appeared, he guessed what was going on. He chuckled softly. He said, Mr. Johnson is indeed straightforward, never humble. I almost couldn't help but laugh on the side. When a clever person speaks, there's always a sting in their words. The friend who brought Sophia here did well. This, I can explain. Lucas looked a bit flustered for the first time. The originally fine plan was disrupted by Sophia. If he knew who was behind this, he definitely wouldn't let the other party off easily. No need. The businessman stopped him and looked at me meaningfully. He said, you should be the one explaining. It seems it's not me. I didn't expect the wealthy merchant to speak up for me. The curious gazes around me suddenly lessened. Suddenly, someone cares about me. It took me by surprise. I smiled a little, but inside I felt a bit bittersweet. Yes, I just chose to let go easily, but I'm just an ordinary person. My heart is made of flesh too. With things having developed to this point, I would feel sad too. After clarifying things with Lucas, he kept begging me not to leave. But until now, has he ever said sorry to me? It seems I have nothing to do with this anymore. Things have already gone awry. I can't get involved anymore. I told Lucas, I'm leaving, you decide for yourself. I'm going home first. Now I have returned to the home that bears my name. This place completely belongs to me now. As for Lucas and that person's collaboration, in the end, of course, it didn't succeed. This was also a huge blow to the company. Later I found out. Lucas and David nearly exhausted all the resources of the company for this project. Now the project has failed. This means that all our previous efforts have been in vain. Interestingly, Lucas didn't call to say anything. Instead, it was David. He sounded very urgent on the phone. Emily, why did you have to be so ruthless? Do you know how important that collaboration was if the company develops well? Won't you benefit from it too? I'm trimming the branches of the flowers, setting up the decorations. Hearing those words, the scissors in my hand suddenly cut through a flower branch. This has nothing to do with me. The equity has already been allocated to me. I'm not involved in your company's affairs. Rather than going crazy here, it's better to find Lucas. If the matter hasn't been done, why be afraid of others exposing it? I hung up the phone. I blocked both David and his wife. I also blocked Lucas while I was at it. I picked up the branch. I continued to trim. I told myself, useless things should be cut off and discarded. The favors and help given over the years, just consider it as feeding another unfamiliar stray dog. When Lucas found out I had blocked him, it was already 3 days later. He came to find me looking dejected. He didn't mention the banquet that day. Instead, he wanted to get back together with me. My relationship with Sophia has completely ended. That day, we had a fierce argument. Her words and actions seemed superficial and vulgar, nowhere near even a fraction of yours. I was confused back then. I mistakenly thought she was like the old you. That's how I made this mistake. Wife, this time I really did something wrong. Can you give me another chance? I lowered my head and stared at my phone. I had no mind to listen to what he was saying. I really wanted to reply to him. It's already like this. You still hold your opinion. If you truly love me, how could you hide things from me and deceive me? Do something that makes me sad. No matter how nice he sounds, his current behavior only makes me feel disgusted. He is truly a very hypocritical person. Since you are here, then you might as well help me out. Help me pick up a package. Lucas was taken aback for a moment. Then he said, somewhat aggrieved, you blocked me. I can't even send the pickup code. I ignored his little actions. Just say it directly. Just go to the security desk to pick it up. No pickup code is needed. I specifically had him organize it for me. After all the items were moved back to the villa, he watched me unpack each box, while also recording a video. This scene gives a somewhat indescribable feeling. What did you buy? How did it end up online? When I was a full-time housewife at home. Although we weren't short on money, but there is plenty of time. I have also considered finding a side job. I tried making videos and posting them online. But Lucas said, there's no need to do those extra things. People don't talk to themselves in front of their phones, and even laugh out loud. Doesn't that feel uncomfortable? He said as long as he takes care of me, that's enough. At that time, I trusted his sweet talk too much. I also lacked confidence in myself, so I gave up. Now, I shot him a glare and said, you still want to control me? This is my home. Please leave. I let out a long sigh of relief. Oh my gosh. How does it feel to say that? It was truly amazing. I drove Lucas away. Now I can focus on making videos. I'm an unboxing blogger. I hadn't cared about dressing up before. There weren't many bags, jewelry, or cosmetics at home. I need to make up for myself properly now. I recently discovered a new platform. The development momentum is quite good. It's a great opportunity to accumulate fans. I quickly registered an account on it. I want to share my experience using it. The data for each video is pretty good. I saw interesting netizens praising me in the comments. My mood improved because of that. I regained my motivation to update. However, I still can't figure out how Lucas found my account later. The people who didn't support me before actually opened an account to support me, giving me likes and shares. I guessed it was him. It's because he saw the private messages. But this matter is quite strange. That day, I checked my private messages. I found many messages that were very strange. They all mentioned the abuse of power. I thought, what power do I have to abuse? I clicked to take a look. I was almost infuriated. So it's Sophia who's up to something again. She posted something. She said she didn't pass her thesis defense. She offended her advisor's daughter. The advisor even pressured her to give a gift. He said if she didn't give one, she wouldn't pass the exam. She's short on cash. She struggled a lot to scrape together enough money to buy a gift. After the gift was given, she ended up in an argument with her advisor's daughter. The thesis she spent 3 months writing still didn't pass. Actually, the post originally didn't attract much attention. There were comments asking her. She replied saying, I've been creating an image of a wealthy single woman online lately, filming unboxing videos. Smart netizens figured out my location based on the time and IP address in that sentence. They found my place. Netizens also discovered more information. Sophia's account had many of her old photos with Lucas when I was filming unboxing videos at the villa. Once, I accidentally captured some old photos of Lucas and me in the background. Someone screenshot this scene and shared it. Then they started blaming me. What connection could there be between a student and a mentor's daughter? Is it because of the same man? Are you not single? How could there be a photo with another man at home? Netizens are too easily misled. She stole someone else's boyfriend and ruined their graduation plans. If there is an afterlife, I also want to live so ruthlessly. I listened to the whole story with a frown. I don't care about the insults directed at me, but she said my dad intentionally held up her thesis. I noted down the ID and the remarks to facilitate evidence collection later when I called to tell my dad. I felt a bit guilty. I felt like I was dragging him down, even though I don't want him to worry about this matter. But the issue of students spreading rumors still needs to be handled by the school. He even comforted me by saying, "Don't worry. What hasn't been done is simply not done. The school will give me a clear answer. The day is the best time to clarify public opinion, but the school is a bit slow to respond. I'll just go ahead and publish the evidence I have, which is my recently issued divorce certificate. P.S. Thank you for the reminder. I just got divorced. The clutter at home hasn't been cleared yet. This way, I don't need to explain much. The netizens should understand now. The person in the photo is my ex-husband. The other photo is of Sophia, who just got divorced recently. Those couple photos were originally. Now, she has also tasted the bitter fruit. No more talking. My heart aches for my sister. If that's the reason for her paper being held up, I can understand. Forget it. How can we trust what that kind of person says? I'll reply under this comment. Thanks to those friends who analyzed calmly. I have reported the situation to the school. I believe I can prove my dad's innocence soon. Things have developed to this point. The post has received countless likes and comments. Some of my dad's former students have also seen this post. They have all come forward to speak up for my dad. Mr. Johnson has always been clear about his public and private life. He would never do something like that. That's right. I used to be bad at language arts. I often made mistakes in wording and sentence structure when writing papers. Mr. Johnson stayed up late to help me mark everything. Later, I wanted to send him some local specialties as a token of thanks. He politely declined. Public opinion has started to lean in our favor. Sophia then realized that things might have escalated. I immediately deleted the post. I also cleared the account, but it was all in vain. Especially the next morning, the school responded. The paper belongs to Sophia. They can't publish it. However, Sophia's previous transcripts can be brought out. Someone is spreading rumors that our school's professors are behaving improperly, deliberately making things difficult for students, not allowing the thesis to pass. These are all baseless claims. This student has failed several courses. Even if the thesis passes, it still won't meet our school's graduation requirements. I saw this notification. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. This is truly digging one's own grave. Self-inflicted consequences. On the internet, there are traces everywhere. It can't be hidden at all, even when casually speaking nonsense online. Venturing emotions. Once the view count reaches a certain level, there will be consequences. I was browsing through the malicious comments from netizens. Ah, he didn't even pass the online classes. Was it your dog who helped you with the exam? How well could such a person write a thesis? Better to retake an IQ test. As long as it's not aimed at me, I can just laugh at it. This matter has finally come to an end. I bought myself a plane ticket. I'm going abroad. Now I'm a travel unboxing blogger. This time I'm sure I'll capture a lot of interesting content. I've already thought about what to update. Lucas texted me from another number. He asked me, somewhat aggrieved, why did you post the divorce certificate online directly? Now everyone knows about his affair with Sophia. The power of the internet is truly incredible. Someone even dug up their past embarrassing moments and occasionally brings them up for teasing. Someone found him through the company website, left a message calling him a scumbag. I turned off my phone and boarded the plane with my luggage. After that public opinion storm, my number of fans increased significantly. New life experiences made me realize there's no need to always look back at the past. Since I have the idea of traveling, then I should just set off by myself. I walk alone, stopping and going. Capture interesting things when you encounter them. It's for the sake of recording and also for sharing. A recent update, I wrote down this sentence. The sky is high and the sea is vast. Even if no one is there to see it with you, You can still feel its beauty alone. I hope we can all live wonderfully.